So let's move on to part 2. So the key to answering our question around how to attract more clients, more of our ideal clients more easily, is revolves around what are you known for? And so we're going to delve into this a little bit. So if we go back to our previous example, so you've got a score on the vertical axis of how often you're working with your ideal clients. So you might want to just plot that on there. And hopefully you've got a score on the horizontal axis about how hard you're working to get your ideal clients. So hopefully that should give you some point on the graph. So this will break down into 4 groups. So I'm going to turn this into our little quadrant models to see where there's 4 specific locations on here. The first one is a job or a hobby. So if you're in a job, it's possible that you could be working in your dream position. But it's also the situation is that whilst you don't have to go out to attract work, and the work mostly comes to you, the downside is you usually don't get to choose your clients. And sometimes you get the good ones, sometimes you don't get the good ones. Similarly, if you had a hobby business, you're not really out there attracting the work. It's more likely you're sitting there waiting for the work to come to you, and given that, you might get some ideal clients and you might not. The next group we want to look at is a Jasper. So anyone want to have a guess what a Jasper might be? I know you're not going to respond verbally, but mentally, what might a Jasper be? So I've made up the term Jasper to represent just another service provider. So if you're spending a lot of time chasing work and finding clients, and because of this, you're unlikely to be working with your ideal clients, and to some extent, the net result of that is going to be that you'll take whatever work you can get, then I think we can call yourself as just another service provider, where you're in that mix of all the other people that are out there offering similar type of work. So let's move on to our next one. So our next group is those that are branded. So again, we're looking at it from the point of view of what are you known for? So you may be known for your brand. So as a result of branding, that you're more likely to get ideal clients coming to you because they like something about you and your brand. The downside is when you're working with a brand, in the true sense of the word, you continually need to promote the brand. So you need advertising and PR and activity just to keep people aware of your brand. And so Coca-Cola is probably the most famous example. They have a very high brand quotient in the valuation of their company, and you probably notice that they're constantly advertising to promote the brand. And similar with McDonald's, they're working very hard to keep that brand out in front of people. So yes, they might be attracting their ideal clients, and they're working pretty hard to make that happen. So you might recognise this. It's probably looks similar to your local supermarket. I'm sure most of us make a regular trip to the supermarket to buy our food and our laundry powder and our chocolate and whatever else we might need. So a question for you. How do you choose the things you buy in the supermarket? So to elaborate on that a little bit, so do you buy the no frills, the plain label, the generic packaging, or do you buy the branded goods? Or do you only buy the branded goods when they're on special? For me, I'll usually give the plain label a try depending on the situation. If it's okay and it's just going to be for me, I'll probably test it out. But if I was doing a dinner party or something like that, I might make sure that I buy something that's known and recognised and probably got some reputation that I can trust behind it. There's also items in the supermarket that I know are on special regularly. So, for example, laundry detergent. I know that if I go to the supermarket every couple of weeks, the couple of brands that I'm happy to use in our washing machine are going to be on special. So I don't have a need to rush out there and buy them when they need to. I can just wait and pick them off at my price. And this is the idea when we get back to the Jasper, just another service provider, they're the plain label. They're the brand, no frills, generic label. And to some extent, when you're buying them, you're taking a bit of a chance on them at one level because you don't know what they're like. They're not known to you as their brand. But it also means they're likely to be cheaper. you're likely to be cheaper in the market because you don't have that position of power in the marketplace. And the other side of it is you've got a brand, a known brand sitting on the shelf next to them. And again, they can easily be in competition to the white label or the plain label, but often it's about price. When you can see all the products sitting there on the shelves, it's easy to compare them and contrast them. And you might compare the size and the shapes, and often they're very similar, or you might see that a product's from Australia, and you might favour that over something from Turkey or the US or somewhere else. But generally you're going to be looking at them as competition to each other, and often that's going to come back to price. So can you see the dynamic that it's work here? When you're not labelled or positioned well, or you're not known for something, then you're really at odds with or in competition with a lot more people. So either way, you're going to have to work a lot harder to get your ideal clients. So what I want to present to you is another way of doing this. And I want to use this supermarket analogy to say this next alternative, you're probably not going to find it in the supermarket. You're going to find it in a boutique situation. So let's have a look at this fourth idea. So you can probably see on there the fourth idea that tends to attract clients to you and tends to attract the ideal clients to you is to be known for an idea. So ideally, you want this idea to be a unique idea that doesn't belong in the supermarket. Because it's just a generic idea, you might as well be in the supermarket because that's where people are buying your type of service. It also means that if you're known by an idea, you don't have to advertise in the traditional way. Instead, you can spend your time sharing your idea. And this becomes a much better promotion to share your idea. And it also brings us into the internet and social media and the idea of content marketing, where you could be putting up blended videos to like Blendtec to show your product in that way, or you could be doing blogging to share people and tell people how they can get the most from your idea. But most of what you'd be doing from an idea perspective is sharing what the idea is about and how people can get value about that. So let's just rephrase this diagram and look at it in a different way. So we've got the same four categories, and instead we're asking you, what are you building? Are you building a business where you just want a job or a hobby? Are you building a business where you want to be just another service provider? Are you building a brand just to be known in the marketplace? Or are you building an idea that makes a difference to people? So have a reflection, have a thought about that, see which category you're currently in and which one you might want to be in.